Hello, everyone. It's Charlton. And please subscribe to my channel. Tap the notification bell and like this video for me. That helps me to keep making videos, and I'd appreciate it majorly. So I want to just kind of go over the latest information that's been put out there by the United States. They say is more proof that it was the Iranians behind the attacks on the two tankers in the Gulf of Oman on June 13th, last Thursday. And from the beginning, I've thought it definitely seems a little sketchy. The circumstances under which this attack took place and why the Iranians would want to even do this didn't make sense, and it still doesn't make sense to me. And nor does a lot of the information that's being put out there by my own government. I do doubt it, and there's just so many reasons why this wouldn't be them. It could be, and we all have. Or at least I'm a human being, and I have a tendency to marry to an idea, and lock to it, and because I want to be right like everybody else. But it's possible that it is the Iranians, but there's a lot that doesn't add up, and a lot, and they just have no incentive to do this. I don't want to go over the same things over and over each video. The Prime Minister of Japan being in Iran at the precise moment that this attack took place. That was the first time in 50 years that the leader of Japan had visited Iran since the revolution in 1979. He was there specifically to basically deliver a message from the United States in hopes of finding a way to de-escalate the situation, etc. So why Iran would attack two commercial vessels, both of which had Japanese cargo, one of which was owned by a Japanese commercial interest, just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Nor does a lot of the information that's being put out by by the Pentagon, by the State Department, Pompeo, etc. And I'm going to go through some of that quickly. What they put out today is like color photos, close-up photos of the limpet mine that they say the Iranians basically retrieved because it was evidence, a mine that didn't explode, and they're saying the Iranians went to the Kokuka Courageous, which was the Japanese-owned vessel that was a little further out. I think the two different boats were like 10 nautical miles apart from each other, and the first blast in the Norwegian vessel, which was the Altair, the front Altair, you know, um, that took place at like 3 in the morning or something like that. I'll go through the timeline real quickly, which is also to me calls into question, the U.S. government's version of what happened. It's a lot. It's a lot. But I just want to quickly go over what they released today. And to me, it just didn't. When they put out some a little bit clearer pictures of the Iranian vessel, one of the high speed boats, the one that was actually videoed, supposedly removing the unexploded mine that they say is the Iranians' own mine that they were removing as evidence. I thought it's possibly just they were removing evidence, but they were removing evidence to prove that they didn't do it. And I mean, one of the big things is that was done when they did that. If the Iranians were removing evidence of an unexploded mine, you know, why did they wait until like 9 hours into the incident to do that? If they knew a mine didn't explode, why did they basically wait all that time when they could actually be captured on video and much more likely to do that? It doesn't make any sense. They would have done it immediately, and there's just a number of different factors that don't make any sense as to if they were behind it. They were constantly sort of behind, late in the game in terms of their response. The Iranians and the Iranian Navy is next to nothing. And I'm not, believe me, the Iranians are no joke. They're not, but their Navy is naval capabilities are not great at all. And if you look at the ships that they have, these high-speed craft, and maybe there's one sort of small, medium-sized ship that was there present during the incident. It's teeny. teeny tiny compared to our vessel that was there, the USS Bainbridge, which isn't even one of our huger ships, but it's massive compared to their ships, the Iranian ships. It's a silly comparison, but I'm totally getting off topic. But the United States, I'm American, obviously. We put out some more, a little bit more clear pictures because of other nations were asking for more proof, and I don't know what their response is going to be because we just put these out now. Like the Germany's foreign minister Heiko Maas, said he's still not decided. He hasn't decided on whether he's placing the blame on the Iranians. The United Kingdom has gone along with our story, but keep in mind, and officially they just put out like a written statement, and the foreign minister has come out since then and stated that he believes it was the Iranians, that nobody else would have had the capability to do this. You know, I disagree. But Trump was just in the United Kingdom, and while he was there, he was talking up trade with the United Kingdom. That he's inclined to do a good, really big trade deal with the United Kingdom, especially if they ended up going through with Brexit and leaving the European Union. He was just there talking up trade. It wouldn't be a good time for the for the British to go against Trump on this particular issue if they're going to be negotiating a trade deal in the near future, for sure. So I don't know where France is. I don't know where some of these other countries are in the in Europe on the issue for now. But we've put out some new pictures, and they're not they're just close-ups of the mine and stuff. These things could be anybody's. They don't really prove anything. Like I said, this could very well be the Iranians, but it very well could not be. And so that's like just some portion of the limpet mine that was left behind after they took the bulk of it. I believe the vessel that took, and there's a close-up look, there's a handprint there. Try not to, and there's so much information. Where's the picture of the Iranian vessel that's in color and close up? There's the picture of it taking it. There's one right there. Okay. I believe this is the Iranians. I just think that they're removing evidence for themselves, like to prove that they didn't do it, as evidence to prove to the international community at the UN or whatever. Because like I said, at the time that this was done was at like 1300 hours. And the first attack or first bomb went off at like 3 in the morning. So it's literally, it's 9, 10 hours later. That's right. That they're doing this. So why would they wait all that time to retrieve the evidence? If they were behind the attack in the first place, and and they would have known. They would have been watching the vessels to see how their explosives went off if they were in fact the ones behind it, and they would have known that certain ones didn't go off, and they would have known that immediately. I would think, and there's other things as well. There's plenty other things. Let me start with this timeline very quickly. But these are the new photos. They're I don't want to read the caption of every one. It will be linked in the description. But that supposedly is where they have the the target there, right on where the limpet mine that they retrieved from there is, and same thing. I just don't want to read these over all the captions. It's not all that useful to do so. But the timeline, if I could quickly go through it. At 3:12, USS Mason receives a bridge-to-bridge call from Front Air. That's the Norwegian vessel reporting they were attacked in the Gulf of Oman. So 3:20, a large fire observed on board at the Front Air. At 3:20, the USS Bainbridge is 40 nautical miles from the Front Air, closest to render aid. Okay, so it's 40 miles away, the U.S. is. At 4 in the morning, 400 hours, 4 in the morning, the Kokuka Courageous reports being hit by an external projectile taking on water. By an external projectile, not not a mine by something, a flying, some kind of missile, you know, um, surface to air missile or something, taking on water and firing in the engine. And even in this timeline, the U.S. still has not addressed that, and the fact that the crew from the Kokuka Courageous, the Japanese-owned vessel that was hit second, um, you know, that's part of their testimony to the executive of their company who gave a press conference stating that, and we have still not, addressed the fact that it wasn't a limpet mine, and this is the vessel where supposedly the limpet mine was taken off of. Nearly 9 hours later, um, you know, at 13:10, crew on board the Gashti WPB were observed removing the device attached amidships. You know, so. But it continues. The front out air and the Kokuka Courageous are approximately 10 nautical miles apart. At 5 in the morning, at 509 hours, 5 in the morning, Iranian Hendajan PGG and multiple fast inshore attack craft observed within area. Okay, that's pretty important. All right, 509, 500, military time, which is 5 in the morning, Iranian Hendajan, PGG, and multiple fast inshore attack craft observed within the area. At 5:15, the Altair confirms major fire amidships. 5:35, Hendajan PGG is 8 nautical miles southeast of Bainbridge. Closes to intercept Bainbridge. Okay, so what I'm trying to establish here is that, it says that basically the Iranian ships were seen in the area, the Hendajan, PGG, and the multiple fast inshore air attack craft observed within the area at 5 in the morning. I guess that's either by the USS Bainbridge or by, but at that point, at 5:35, it's 8 nautical miles. The Hendajan PGG is 8 nautical miles southeast of the Bainbridge. I don't know if that means it's within view or not. I mean, that's 8 miles. How do you see something that's 8 miles away? So I'm assuming this is being observed by the drones, okay, at 5 in the morning, 2 hours after the first attack, and 1 hour after the second attack. 2 hours after the Altair being attacked, and 1 hour after the Kokuka Courageous being attacked. And according to the reports previously, like on Friday, I believe it was, Friday evening is when they started. The report came out that that there were surface-to-air missiles fired at drones in the area in the hours preceding the attack. Okay, and that's what it was reported, and that's who somebody spoke to CNN stating that, and that those same drones observed the Iranian fast attack craft, or whatever they're called, moving towards the tankers. I mean, that's what the report was. But in this timeline, all right, so that would be, that's in the hours before the attack, okay? The first attack was 3 in the morning. That would be like 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, whatever. Here they're saying it was observed at 5 in the morning, okay? So that's just, just another discrepancy. And as I was saying in my last video, that this story, this wrinkle in the story about the surface-to-air missiles being fired at the drone that missed, okay, and then went right into the sea in the hours before the attack, and that, the drone observed the Iranian vessels closing in on the tankers. I'll read this to you. That came out after the Japanese tanker owner said his crew, relayed information to them that it wasn't mines that caused the explosion. There wasn't, there was some projectile fired at them, and then this story came out. But what I'm saying is that this story contradicts this timeline that I just went through, and I don't want to go over it. I just did it. you know. But, it just it doesn't add up. In the hours before the attack on the two tankers in the Gulf of Oman on Thursday, the Iranians spotted a U.S. drone flying overhead. This is according to the United States government, according to the Pentagon, whatever. The Iranians spotted the U.S. drone flying overhead and launched a surface-to-air missile at the unmanned aircraft, a U.S. official told CNN. This is on Friday, I'm pretty sure. June 15th. Actually, let's see. 16th, that's Saturday. That's probably updated as of updated Saturday, I believe. The story broke on Friday. So the missile missed the drone and fell into the water, the official said. That's the U.S. official. Prior to taking fire, the American MQ-9 Reaper drone observed Iranian vessels closing in on the tankers, the official added, though the source did not say whether the unmanned aircraft saw the boats conducting an actual attack. Still, it is the first claim that U.S. has information of Iranian movements prior to the attack. So again, not to belabor the point, but it says, in the hours before the attack on the two tankers in the Gulf of Oman on Thursday, Iranians were spotted a U.S. drone flying overhead and launched a surface-to-air missile. But that would be, like I said, 1, 2 in the morning, and over here it says at 5 in the morning they're spotted. I guess, either by the drone or by the Bainbridge, but they're 8 miles from the Bainbridge at 5:35. That's just one point. Another point is that, not long after that, at 6:26, unidentified Iranian patrol boat requests the Hyundai Dubai to turn over crew rescued from the Frontal Air, which the Hyundai Dubai does. And that's the Russian crew. They're mostly Russian. I think there was somebody from the Philippines there too, but mostly Russian, the crew from the Altair. And they actually were taken to Iran, and they spent a couple days there before they were just released over the weekend, I think on Sunday in Dubai, or, returned. And they were I saw them each interviewed and stuff, and said they were treated hospitably. They did not, they each said the same thing. They were partly told what to say because they used the same words, but I just did not sense that they were scared at all. So they all said they were treated hospitably. They used that word over and over, each one, out of the 4 people that I saw to interview. But they didn't look scared to me at all. And but my question is, if the Iranians were behind the attack, why would they seem to be like behind in terms of their response? Like they didn't get there until after some other ship had rescued the crew, and they actually had to force the other crew, this commercial ship, the Hyundai Dubai, to turn over the crew. The Hyundai Dubai got there before the Iranians did, for goodness sake. So if they're behind the attack, they know of it ahead of time. Why would they let that happen? They wouldn't. And it's just another thing that just doesn't make sense. And then, like I said, fast forward, I don't want to read through this whole timeline. It's too boring. Fast forward, 7 hours to them actually removing this lipid mine that supposedly, they're removing their own evidence that it could be, but I don't think it is, And that's the crux of the problem I have. And we still haven't heard any response to the fact that the Japanese crew say that they were fired at with some projectile. I've already mentioned that. It's on the Wikipedia page. This is them on the USS Bainbridge. This is the Japanese crew, They're the ones who are saying it wasn't a lipid mine that exploded, it wasn't some bomb that exploded on the ship. They were fired at by somebody, with some kind of surface-to-air projectile. And my theory is that, that somebody is using crude weaponry to try to make it look like the Iranians, but they're also taking great care to make sure that they don't do enough damage to sink the vessel, And that's what leads me to my next question as to, in terms of the placement of these mines or whatever, or however they were attacked, it's done at a place that wouldn't sink them, Like, it's funny how the fort the four tanker attacks that happened prior to this, like a month ago, they were right at the water level. And I don't have those pictures up here now, but if you're following the story, you've seen at least two. I think two of the tankers you could see huge gouges in the tanker, where something blew a hole in it. And it was right at the water level, but they were at port, Now these ones, they didn't blow up at that place, at that, because it could have very well sank the vessels. They were blown up well above the water level. That would do damage and create a crisis like it's doing, but it wouldn't sink them. So my theory was that like somebody's taking great care to undertake these attacks, and in my opinion, using crude weaponry, so it can't be tracked back to the real source of whoever's behind it. But they're taking great care so that they don't do so much damage to put the vessels at the bottom of the sea. I don't know what these things are worth, but they're worth many millions, a couple $100 million or something like that. I don't know what a huge commercial tanker's worth. It's got to be a lot. So that's pretty much what I have to say about that, I think. And like I said, the United Kingdom is behind the U.S. government in this, but they're the only ones. Germany's holding back. I don't know what France is doing, and it seems to be where we are for now. But we're sending an additional 1,000 troops to the region, and that's not good as well. That's on top of the 1,500 that we were already sending. And my final thought will be this. I'm always all over the place with this video, and I apologize, but I'm not going to redo it. My feeling is that I'm feeling stronger. I have a stronger and stronger feeling every day that Trump's going to lose in 2020. This is all about his reelection. All about 2020, 100%. And it's basically because Washington loves war. This will put, basically 95, 98% of the Republican Party squarely behind Trump's reelection bid, and a big part of the Democratic Party as well. Washington is so infested with the defense industry and the oil industry. I mean, this is all about 2020. And what I'm saying to you is that Trump needs this to win, and and I don't even think even with this, I think he's going to lose. I really do. And but that's what this is about. 100%, big time. Obviously Saudis, Israel, believe me, they're in this. But this is Trump and his reelection in 2020. And that's the story there. All right, thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe to my channel. Give me a like down below. I'll see you in the next video. Later, man.